Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another session. How's everybody doing today? We're very excited today to be talking about events in real life, not a virtual one like the one we have today. And I'm very excited to have with me here Kim and Linda from MyCreativeBreak, the dynamic duo and co-founders of an event hosting and team building as well. Just a little bit of a background. Kim is the co-founder of MyCreativeBreak, and she's got a background in marketing. And Linda is a confidence coach who both got together and decided that they wanted to create their own type of events. And they bring in confidence coaching, team building exercises, a little bit of improv into what they do. Welcome, Kim and Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
If you could give us a little bit of a background about, I already gave a little bit of a background, but what brought the idea of MyCreativeBreak to life?
Yes, definitely. Let me start a little bit, a long story short, but it started, so my background, like I said, confidence coaching, but just to say, I've always been like a very shy and introverted person with those big aspirations, big dreams, wanted going on Broadway, doing all these things. But one day I was just like, okay, if I want to act on these dreams, I need to start taking some steps. And first off, dabble into improv, which, by the way, that's where I met Kim. So, and during an improv class, so we met during improv. So improv has a big influence on us meeting, but everything we do, and starting like with me as well. So I got a bit more confident when I was doing improv. And one of the things it led me to, just like, because my background is in accounting, so led me to take a sabbatical leave. So I was, once in my career, I was able to take a sabbatical leave. And I decided to take that and put the accounting aside and work on my creativity and work on things that I really wanted to do. So I flew to Paris for a year, and I decided that year would be the year that I would take a break to do creative stuff. So kind of like when it started a little bit like my creative break, so creative sabbatical. So I got to do a lot of things there. Tried I did some improv over there overseas. Tried stand up. Wrote like my first short film. All kinds of stuff, really to get out of my comfort zone and work on things that I really wanted. And then I had to come back to my job, so which was great. I'm very grateful about that. But I was like, okay, how do I continue to do that while I'm working, to take that break and work on that creative side that I started to develop? And I met with Kim, and I'll let her kind of like end the story. So when I came back, we met and we kind of like started to brainstorm, but we can continue quickly.
Yeah, actually. So Linda came back from Paris and I almost didn't recognize her. Like, she was like much more confident, much happier, and she had grown a lot from like the time that she left here and gone to Paris. So that kind of inspired me a little bit because at the time I was working in marketing and I was feeling a little bit blocked. Like I wasn't learning anything new, I wasn't growing. And just like Linda, I'm a creative person. Like I enjoy like trying different things and learning new things. And I wasn't getting any of that. So like she kind of inspired me to like go on my own sabbatical. And I ended up leaving my marketing job to move to Spain. And I taught English there for a couple of months. And the people I met there inspired me to keep going. So after that, I started traveling some more. I traveled Europe. I actually ended up in Africa for a little bit, in Morocco, where I accidentally came across this travel community of people from all over the world who actually inspired me even more to keep going. And then I ended up in Asia. Then, long story short, I came back to Canada. Linda and I met up, and we were talking about our experiences. We were also talking about how people were telling us that, they saw that how much we changed, they saw how much we were growing, and they were asking us, what happened? What did you guys do? Like, what's causing this? And at the time, we didn't really know. We were kind of just like going with the flow and not really noticing the impact that it was having on us. So in the end, we sat down and we were like, what is causing this? And it came to three things. So you got to push yourself. You got to do the things that you really want to do and just try it, even though it scares you.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to surround yourself with people who are going to like teach you things and motivate you. Be around people who you normally wouldn't be around. And then you just have to take the steps to get out of your comfort zone. So we started encouraging people to do that. We really just started an online community, just saying, do things you like to do, take the steps to try something new, right? And that was kind of like the base of my creative break. That was during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and like, we noticed that people like they wanted to kind of connect because they were writing to us. So we started this online community. We would get people together online, and from there we grew to having people in person.
Okay. So, I mean, you took your world experiences and you distilled it down into, your creative events. Now, you started this in the pandemic. How have things changed since the pandemic? Obviously, we're in a whole different world. People's expectations of events before the pandemic and after the pandemic have completely changed. What is your experience with that, especially for creating events that are engaging? Like, is there a difference?
Absolutely. So during the pandemic, of course, like there was a need of connection because we were all isolated, but we couldn't do it live, right? So it was a lot of workshops online and kind of like, yes, trying to engage people, but from afar. So for us, like we really had to put together like different workshops, but also a different like way of interacting with people, so they would feel still that they connected through the screen, right? So that went well for that time, and then we switched up to having. So once the world opened up, like we started to do live events, and one of the first one actually in Montreal where we met you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that was yes, so that was and the because it was like live events, people were craving that. Right after the pandemic, we could see like people were just like, okay, let's go out there. So we had a lot of like engagement and people were out there, and so we could feel like the anticipation of just like connecting to one another in live. And then now we're post pandemic, like what, 4 or 5 years, almost 6 years, I guess. So yes.
Crazy.
So it changed again. So yes, people are still craving live, but with a little bit more of interaction, like let's go deeper, like connecting a little bit deeper and learning. So not just like, okay, let's throw people together in a room. It's much more than that. People are craving like topics like let's talk about something we have in common. Let's do something, let's get to know each other even deeper than just like, okay, who are you, what do you do, or things like that. We want to know a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the tried and true format of networking where there's either a speaker of some sort, they come up on stage, they chat, and then everybody breaks away and groups up into bunches, and they just spend the entire night with the same group of people that they meet. How do you break that mold, and how do you get people moving around, chatting to each other, and engaging in different ways?
Yeah, we really try to make people, as comfortable as possible because we know it's not easy to be in a room full of strangers, especially if you're shy or if you're introverted. So what we try to do is we actually try to get a sense of who is coming, and from the moment they walk in, we make them feel welcome. So we say that our events are not just events; they're more experiences. So from the moment you walk in, like we're gonna accommodate you and make sure that we take you through a journey so that by the end, like you feel that you got something out of the event.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll add to that quickly. Just like even before you step into the event, we already like, okay, make sure like, okay, who's, like Kim was saying, like who's gonna be here. Like if we can find out as much as information as possible, but getting the sense of like who's gonna be in the room and how can we make them engage even before. How can we connect with them so they feel welcome? They already feel at ease. So once they come to the event, like those little things of welcoming, like some welcoming touches, and throughout the event, like interacting with them, making sure they interact with people so they don't feel like it can be awkward sometimes, just like connecting with one another. So we try to make it as easy as possible, making as interactive as possible. And at the end as well, like just, to try to connect them together as well. So the connection can keep just like flowing afterwards, right? So we really take them through a journey, and we think about all of that when we create events. So yeah.
So what's your process for designing an event? Obviously, you've got thematics. I mean, I've been to your website. You guys create themes and for different groups of people and for, with different intentions behind the events themselves. Sometimes you have team building things, you've got marketing events, you've got, women's events. How do you design your experience, and what techniques do you have to get people to engage, knowing that there's different audiences in each one?
Exactly. So you got to know your audience first. So we always have like an idea of like how we want an event to be, but you got to listen also as well, like who's your audience, and really make sure that it's not about what you want or your needs, but really what are their needs, like, and we have to listen. So for instance, like, yes, we have different thematics and we have different groups that we're offering. We have our women's group. We had an event even last night, so this is for women, but we have them in mind. And as we do events, we listen to feedback, because like they are the one that are going through the experience. So listening to what people's feedback is really crucial to how we also continue to make sure they have the best experience possible. So sometimes we think of like ways to connect them, and sometimes like they say like, oh, we want more of like time to connect in groups or any things like that. So we're like, okay, for us, we didn't think of it. We thought like, no, that would be fun to have like a lot of group games or whatnot. But if they say like, you have to go with what your audience wants and needs, so you have to be flexible to also like, okay, I have this experience in mind, but once people gone through the experience, what is it that they want? What is it that they need? So that's really will dictate how we offer the best experience possible, best event possible.
Yeah. And I'm going to add that, when people sign up for our events, we're already asking them, what is your goal? Why are you coming? Like, what do you do? So that we have a clear idea of, who is coming, but what do they want?
I see. I would say if someone is trying to set up their first event, I mean, I'm looking at it in the perspective that more and more events are happening now because we are being conditioned out of the isolation of the pandemic, and people are craving to, doing more things. And at the same time, the old style of just, throwing up a place and maybe having a free drink or, having a keynote speaker or whatever it is kind of going by the wayside. And people are expecting more. I'm hearing things like, coffee raves and different ways of engagement. How do you go about creating this? If you were doing this for the first time, what would you give advice to for that person who's doing this for the first time? What would they want to think about?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the first things to think about is I think for us, like when you go to traditional events, like how do you first of all like have an idea of like how do you want would you want to feel at an event yourself? I think we can start with that, and then afterwards, like we said, focus on your audience. Because like when we started, we made sure that we created spaces that we wanted to see. We've been to events where, for instance, there was no host, there was nobody welcoming you. And for me, who's more like shy, it felt like, okay, I went into a room and then I stayed in a corner, nodded and smiled, and I couldn't really connect with people. And so that also helped like dictate like creating a space that you would like to be part of. Like, what are some things that you feel would be engaging? But also, like we said, the audience that you are attracting, think about them. Think about of just like if you're just starting to create an event, think about what would they want. What do you want? Like what is your goal of the event? What is the goal of the event that you want that you created, and what do you want people to feel? And you have to go through, I would say, really start thinking about what do you want them to feel from the moment they sign up to your event? What is the goal, and what do you want them to get at the end? Go through each step. I think like that, I would say that's the basis, like to really go through each steps of like. Mhm.
Yeah, people really want to. I'm going to add that, they really want to feel like the event was created with them in mind. Right? So you got to maybe put yourself in their shoes. Ask them, ask the people what they want, which is what we do. And you have to remember that you're not just designing an event where you're just putting people in a room. Right? You really want them to feel like they have been seen, because like we can relate. We've gone to events and we just feel like we're a number in the room, and like no one is really catering to us. So like that's what we try to keep in mind.
Just for the audience out there, if you have any questions for Kim and Linda, we've got the chat over there. So drop your comments, drop your questions there. We'll have a moment at the end of this to answer any of your questions. In saying that, now, when people are planning events, obviously their biggest goal, and most people's goals, is to have people show up and having the numbers, and everybody wants to have that event that they've got everybody there and everybody had a great time. It's super popular and it's the talk of the town. What's your perspective on having really big events versus smaller, more intimate events? How does that factor in when you guys are creating events for your audiences? Obviously, you've got your thematic, so you can't really have such a huge amount of people for each one. But how does that work out for you?
Yes, different goals. I feel like that's it's okay to have like those bigger events, but they have there's different intention in mind, right? So if you really want to make sure that it's an intimate experience where people really get to connect with one another and connect like on a deeper level, like not like only surface level, I feel like smaller, intimate, like you can achieve a little bit more of a sense of like even fostering a community. Like they get more of you as like a host, but they get more of the experience. Like they will feel like they are at the center of the experience. So whereas like larger events, it's not to say that it's not achievable, but it's just like once you have a bigger room, and if you've been part of those rooms, sometimes you do feel that you're just a number. And if you want to build like a sense of community and really have people like they say, oh, I know this person, like I really get a sense that I connected with this person on a deeper level. I think like having more intimate gatherings can really help you achieve that goal.
Yeah, the smaller the event is, the safer people will feel. Right? And like the reason why we do smaller event is so that we can have more flexibility to guide the people, especially if they're introverted or shy. Like we really structure the events, and we have guided activities, which is much easier to do. Like if the group is smaller versus then if there's like 200 people in the room.
Yeah. We talk a lot about community and engaging with the community, asking them questions, getting their feedback, and all of that. How do you work with your community? How do you cultivate that engagement over time? Obviously, you guys run your events on a regular cadence. I believe you guys do it in Montreal and in Toronto now, so it's not just in one place. How do you get that engagement and repetition to continue on and get repeat attendees?
Yes, I think like definitely being just regular in your events. Like so, if you have thematics or something like different brandings, for instance, or women event is one of them. So we really kind of like, okay, if it's like every month or every 2 months or whatnot, like having a regular where people know they're expecting like, okay, the next one is, I know Kim and Linda were coming, MyCreativeBreak is coming back like in 2 months here in Toronto or whatnot. So I think just like being having that space like where people recognize like when you're hosting your events, that helps to attract the people like more regularly, but also like we were saying all throughout, right? Making them like feel something at the event. Like if they feel like safe, they feel that they connected, they will come back for not only for the experience that you provided, but for the people that they've met, because they know like, oh, I met these type of people, or they're coming back, they see familiar faces. We have a lot of familiar faces that come back, and so they come back also for the people themselves, not only for the event. And that is one of the ways like the community grows. It's like, oh, I'm coming back for the people, but I'm anticipating to meet like-minded people in this type of like experience, this type of event. So yeah, like we said, like for the women event we have, like they know that they're gonna meet same type of women who are having personally the same type of like challenges, or that the same type of things that they want to learn. So they feel like, they're part of a community where they can rely on each other, and they're going to meet people who have similar, they're doing similar things, and they can get like uplifted or motivated by one another. So that's one of the, I think, ways to strengthen the community aspect.
Yeah. Also, we really structure the interaction so that people can have conversations where they feel like they're connecting on a deeper level. So when they feel like they're connected to more people, like they feel like they belong in a group. And when they have that sense of belonging, that makes them want to like talk to other people about it and return to it.
Yeah. And one last thing I add, the afterwards is very important. So we, encourage people to connect to one another. Also, like they're part of just like at the end, we have a group like really to continue the conversation after, to really making sure like, okay, exchange like if like shit, let's share our wins in that group, the people that they met. So having like this after, like thinking about the after, what happens after your event, that's going to also dictate like how you get to grow your community, what happens afterwards. So this is like things you have to think about when you want to have a community.
So this is a question for you, Kim. And because you have a marketing background, what are some of the marketing challenges of marketing an event? How do you get the word out? How do you get the engagement? How do you get people to come? We talked a lot about how to engage with people when they come, but how do you get to come? Because that's the biggest fear I think most people have when it comes to running an event, that no one will show up. So how do you get people to show up?
Yeah. I think in terms of marketing, you really got to narrow down and figure out where your audience is. In our case, our audience is mostly on Instagram. So we've been using Instagram to market the events, which is good because we can post things that actually show what happens at the event. And I think the more people see like how your events are structured, what they can expect, what can they expect to feel at your event, like the more it's going to attract them. Like, so the way we try to do it is like not just market it as an event, but show that when they come, they're getting a whole experience, they're getting a whole community, and they're going to leave feeling refreshed, connected, and just good overall. So yeah, that's
Can I add something? Like, I'll add also like word to mouth is also a big driver. Because like people who have come to events, once they know, and they share with other people. So sometimes they bring someone, or they send someone. So getting the word out, like I think in terms of marketing, is also our best people that are marketing for us is the people that attended the events as well. But if you're getting started, yes, definitely what Kim is saying, like question your audience. Like it's good to maybe send like even some questions before, when you're just getting started, to see like where are they, what what are some things, where do they hang out, like what would they like to see. So really get those crucial information before, and then you can see like, okay, maybe my audience is more on Instagram. But for instance, like when we are connecting more to entrepreneurs and business people, like LinkedIn is also a place where we market. But like we said, and at this point, our best like way to market is word to mouth, and the people who have attended become the people who just share. So I think that's really a big driver too.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, with events, like you have to like keep in mind that people don't come back just for the event. They come back like for the connection. They come back for how they're going to feel. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know a whole lot of people that still use Facebook a lot for events because they've got that events section there. And there's people that use Eventbrite, and then I think there's another product now called Luma that has been really popular in the tech space.
Yeah.
What would be your approach? Would it be to focus on one of these channels and mediums, or to just publish everywhere and see where people come from? Like, what's your if you're new to this, how do you get the most buzz or the most attraction?
Yeah, I think like at first, look, you can try everything. We did so too. You see, like, because sometimes you still audience, so I think it's good to try different avenues, But after a while, like, and also when you analyze everything, you will see where your audience stands. Because we've tried, like, also we've been on Facebook and we've tried, like, we're on Eventbrite as well, and recently Luma. But sometimes you just try platform to see. You never know. So I would say don't close, like say like, oh, that's not where my audience is. Sometimes you don't know, so it's good to sometimes experiment and try. But also at the same time, don't burn yourself out, because, like, of course, like, try to maybe pick a few to start with and track it to see, do I get some people from there? So maybe make sure that you're tracking to see if there's, like, people who actually come from it. And when people come to your event, ask them. Like, it's good to send, like, surveys afterwards, or even at the event. Where did you hear about us? Like, where did you find us? Sometimes we're surprised. Like, we had someone, like, show up, like, last time, and they're like, oh, I just saw, like, your thing pop up on LinkedIn or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Or sometimes it's just a share from another friend on their wall on LinkedIn or on Instagram. So ask people when they come in, like, try to get that information too, and then you can narrow it down. Say, like, oh, most people come from X platform, and then you can maybe focus more on that.
Okay.
Or if you know your audience, like, you can also ask them, like, where do you go looking for events? Like, what do you use to find the events that you want to go to?
Yeah, no, that's great advice there. Now, you guys have been running events for some time now. What would you say was your favorite event? Give us a fun story of some of your events.
Ooh, favorite event. There's been a lot, but I have in mind, like, first I would say one of the first event. I think for us, one of the first live events was going from the pandemic to having our first live event, because it was a mix of, like, anticipation, not knowing if that would work, like, things were opening up. So you have all the things, like, it's the first time. So for us, it was like a roller coaster of emotions, and just like, we're trying this, we don't know if it's gonna work, we don't know if people are gonna show up, and then we still have people who we're just like, I don't know if, like, I can go, and things are opening up. So I think because of all these emotions, and also we had a good turnout as well. Not to say that it's like, even if we didn't have a good turnout, the fact that it was our first one and we just, like, accomplished this, okay, we did it. I think it stuck to us, right? It's just like, this is the first live event that we did, and so I think, and the people, the way that it went from our mind, like, okay, we designed something and let's see how it plays out. For us, it was really it stuck to us. I think, Kim, I don't know if you want to, maybe you have another one, but, like, I think the first one is always special. I think the first event that you're gonna host, whether it's good or bad, you can learn something from it, but I think it will stick with you. So for us, like, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Always the first time is the one you remember the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
In saying that, we are almost out of time, but if you want to subscribe to MyCreativeBreak's newsletter, or connect with them on LinkedIn, I've got the links up on the screen over here. You can subscribe to their email newsletter, and we'll send that out as well in the recap email next week. Wanted to give a big shout out to Gina from MWCN, the Montérégie West Community Network, who is really enjoying this talk here, because she's trying to run events for English-speaking communities in Canada. This was a great chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Kim and Linda, for giving us the rundown on how to create a successful event and series of events. It's been great chatting with you guys. Hopefully, we'll see you guys again soon.
Thank you for having us.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.